hope you guys had a great day today. I was pretty excited when I looked at this afternoon. You see that? I have a sprout. I'm not going to measure it today. I think I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning to measure it, but I'm pretty excited to see all the different ways the roots have grown from the different seeds that I put in. And my book for today is The Curious Garden. There once was a city without gardens or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors. As you can imagine, it was a dreary place. However, there was one boy who loved being outside, even on drizzly days, while everyone else stayed inside. You could always find Liam happily splashing through his neighborhood. It was on one such morning when Liam made several surprising discoveries. He had wandered around the old railway, as he did from time to time, and when he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the tracks. The railway had stopped working ages ago, and since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing for a curious boy to do. Liam ran up the stairs and opened the door and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. Wildflowers and plants were the last thing he expected to find up here, but when he looked closer, it became clear that the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he could help. So he returned to the railway the very next day and got to work. The flowers nearly drowned, and he had a few pruning problems, but the plants patiently waited for Liam to find better ways of gardening. And as the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener, and the plants began to feel like a real garden. Most gardens stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. With miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. The tough little weeds and mosses were the first to move. They popped up further and further down the tracks and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. Over the next few months, Liam and the Curious Garden explored every corner of the railway. After spending his spring and summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he'd become a gardener, Liam could not visit his plants. Rather than waste his winter worrying about the garden, Liam spent it preparing for spring. After 3 cold months, the snow finally began to melt, and Liam rolled his new gardening gear over to the railway. Winter had taken its toll on the garden, but thanks to Liam's planning and his handy new tools and a little help from the sun, the plants soon awoke from their winter sleep. The garden had always wanted to explore the rest of the city, and that spring it was finally ready to make its move. Once again, the tough little weeds and the mosses set out first. They popped up further and further away from the railroad and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. The gardens were especially curious about old and forgotten things. A few popped up where they didn't belong. Others mysteriously popped up all at once. But the most surprising things that popped up were all the other new gardeners. Many years later, the entire city had blossomed. But of all of the new gardens, Liam's favorite was where it began. That story was based a little bit on a railroad that is in New York. It's called the High Line, and the trains quit running on it years ago, and they couldn't figure out what to do with it. And then somebody said, let's put a garden on it. So up on where trains used to run is a huge, long public garden that many, many people visit in New York. Man, what a great day. I want to thank you for coming and listening to the story. I'll see you tomorrow.